Hey, Chris, welcome.
Hello, hello.
How's it going?
Oh, going great. How about you?
Good. Did you put the kids to bed?
Yep, kids are in bed.
The funny thing is, I think your kids have the same bedtime as I do.
Oh yeah.
So, so I know you want to wait until after you put the kids to bed to start this interview, but I had to
That's
take a
right.
nap because of it.
Okay, well good. I'm glad you're ready.
I'm ready. Let's go right into it. FSD 12.5.1.
Yep.
Starting with the first question. What would you rate FSD from 1 to 10, assuming 10 is FSD unsupervised?
Yeah, I'd probably give it probably around a 7, maybe a 6 or 7, somewhere in there.
A 6 or a 7?
Yep.
And um, what would you say it was about a year or two ago? So, by the way, when did you start testing this FSD? From the very beginning, right?
Yep. No, I was the month after the first rollout, so November of 2020.
Okay. So, where would you say it was in that 1 to 10 scale about a year ago, about 2 years ago? And take your time if you need to think about it.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. A year ago, I'd still give it a pretty high mark, probably somewhere in the 4 or 5 range, or maybe even five. Let's say 5 to 6, because it was pretty solid even a year ago. But 2 years ago, I mean, we're going down to probably like a 2.
Mm-hmm.
Um, 2 years ago was much more. If I'm keeping my version numbers correct in my head, I don't know if you want me to like expand on any of this, but 2 years ago was
Yeah, feel
very
free.
sure. Yeah, 2 years ago was a lot more, not just lack of comfort. It was very jerky, but you had a lot of like random movements. So like you'd be driving straight down the road, and the car would just like rip the wheel to the right out of nowhere.
Yeah,
It's just going
yeah.
down a straight road. You had a lot more of that 2 years ago, whereas a year ago that was. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it was pretty rare.
Hmm. And is that pretty much impossible at this point? Very, very rare? Or has it happened to you since you got 12.5, for example?
Oh no, it hasn't happened in a long time. No, I would never call anything impossible, but it is as rare as it could get. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's really good because that's the kind of
Mhm.
thing that kind of gives people comfort and confidence, right? That's the kind of thing that
Right.
passes the wife test.
Yes,
Yeah,
predictability is really important.
yeah. Um, and there is no steering wheel nag since 12.5, right?
12.4 brought the no
12.4.
nag.
Okay,
Yeah, but that didn't go wide, but I did use that version.
okay. Um, does that make a huge difference in user experience?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it just makes it feel like almost more magical. So if you're not just talking from a, capability standpoint or a standpoint of like, oh, I can't wait for Robotaxi. If you're just talking about the user experience, it makes it so much more enjoyable, but also like kind of I don't know, mystical, I guess is a good way to put it.
Yeah. Okay, so then why 6 or 7 at this point? What's missing, in your opinion, on the way to FSD unsupervised?
Sure. Yes. I mean, there's several just blatant, obvious things that, not necessarily the card does wrong or bad, but just simply does not have the capability of interacting with. So, reading signs, for example, there are several circumstances you can come across, which I already came across with 12.5, like do not enter. So the car started to drive into a do not enter area. Um,
Hmm.
Other signs like closed roads. So if the road is 100% blocked by barriers and things, the FSD will very intelligently and smoothly find another way to go. So even if the nav says to go straight, it'll turn right and kind of reroute and do its thing. But if any part of that closed road is open, it will just drive right around the barriers if
Hmm.
there's a
Yeah.
chance to do so. Some other examples are like emergency vehicles. It doesn't know what to do for. It doesn't like as far as the user can tell. We never know what's going on in the background, but as far as the user can tell, the FSD doesn't know what a cop car is. It doesn't know what an ambulance is. It doesn't know if their emergency lights are on, and it doesn't know what to do when those things are happening.
Hmm.
It also can't reverse, of course. That's kind of a big one. Although that should, I mean, it sounds like that's coming, honestly, like any week here. But as of
Hmm.
us talking right now, it doesn't do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another big one that I've encountered on 12.5 even is just like general road debris. So there was a like a flat tire in the road. It wasn't very like big or tall, but it was a big pile of tire right in the middle of the road, and the car was going to drive right over it. It just didn't care at all. So some road debris will definitely be avoided. I've also experienced that. But other even obvious road debris sometimes is just ignored.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with all that though, you believe this is a magical software. Tesla AI team is doing a great job, and you do you recommend this to others?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it definitely depends on the angle you're looking at this from. So, your
Hmm.
question was 10 is it's unsupervised. It can literally drive itself anywhere. It's not there.
Yeah.
But from like buying a product and using it, as long as you understand what you're getting, yeah, I think it is like next to magical. It is such a cool software. I mean, you got to keep everything in perspective. Like, I'm just some normal guy. There's nothing special about me, and I bought a car that can most of the time drive me A to B. Whether I'm just going to work, I'm going to the grocery store. I'm talking normal drives. When I just say I need to go to this place, the car can take me there it's getting to the point where it's most of the time. I don't have to do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe there's some accelerator presses here and there, but that's all, can be chalked up to personal preference. Um, as far as recommended, yeah, I think again, like as long as you know what you're getting into, if you kind of learn about it and read about it and you're happy with the current capability that it has when you're buying it, when you're either, I mean, at 99 a month, I think it's a no-brainer. You should definitely do it. For the 8,000, I think as long as you kind of know exactly what it does, and then if you go, yeah, I would love to use that, then yes, I do think it's worth it. I think it's so polished now. But if you're not paying attention and you're like, whoa, a Robotaxi, I could sleep in the back seat or I could send it out to make me money. Well, no, then don't pay for that because that doesn't exist yet.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I think everyone's on the same page with everything you said there. But
mhm.
and we're gonna get to specific timeline predictions later in this episode. But
Sure.
let's talk about so your wife also, does she have her own YouTube channel or is she more active on your channel?
No, her only thing she does on her own is pretty much posting to X. She doesn't have a YouTube channel or she shows up on my channel when she can, but it's not very often.
Yeah. But she's come around quite a bit on FSD over the last 2 years, right? I remember
Big
the first
big time.
video that she was on. Yeah. Can you speak to that a little bit? Kind of her experience with FSD, where she started from, and how is she using it today?
Yeah, for sure. If you like, I can ask if she can come answer that for you. So I don't.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hey,
Hi, Stephanie. How are you?
good. How are you?
Good. Sorry to bother you. We
Oh
were
no,
just
you're fine.
wondering that one of the questions I asked was too difficult for Chris to answer, so he called a friend. Um, I guess I was wondering about your experience with FSD over the last 2 years, where you started and how it evolved, and where you are right now, and how often do you use it today?
I would say I've come a very long way. When Chris first started using it, I asked him to turn it off every time that I was in the car. And
Yeah.
some of that was because I was nervous about it, but also because the software was not where it is today. It's made such huge improvements in such a short amount of time. So it was doing things that were like a little janky. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. Can we please not do this?
Hmm.
um, and then it started to get better. And he would show me, like, when there was a really big improvement, he would be like, oh, while we're in the car, let me show you what it does now. And see, isn't it so much better? And um, then we went on a road trip to Tennessee. And this was
When was that?
this was 2021, right?
Hmm.
2021, 2022. It was 2022. It was March 2022.
Hmm.
We went to Tennessee, and this was the infamous trip where Chris got food poisoning the night before we left, and I had to
Oh.
drive the entire way home.
Oh no.
And so we weren't using FSD, but we were using autopilot on the highway. And that was the first time where I was like dependent on it. Like it saved me because I was exhausted and he's like throwing up in the car next to me and I've got 2 screaming kids in the back seat and I just had to get us home. And it was like an 8 or 9 hour drive. And I mean, I was like, okay, this is pretty amazing. Like this saved me so much energy. And so then I started using it more. And then when I finally got it on my car, got FSD on my car, I just kept using it because autopilot got me there. And now I use it literally every time I drive.
Every time you drive today. Wow. That's amazing. Now, let me ask you something. If Chris wasn't persistent in trying to get you to use it over the years, or if he didn't have a YouTube channel testing FSD, would you have given it a shot on your own again? Or would you be not using it today?
Honestly, I don't think I would try it. I don't think I would be like have any motivation to try it if it wasn't for him.
Right.
Like I wouldn't know what I was missing. You know what I mean? I'd be like, well, I just drive myself everywhere. What's the big deal? But it's because I had his influence to give it an honest try that I'm like, okay, wow, this is amazing. And now I don't want to live without it.
Yeah. Is he chiming in from the back?
Yeah, he just said, oh no, I'm an influencer.
Do you, in your personal life, so outside of X, outside of social media, see skeptics of FSD, of Tesla, and how do you deal with it?
Gosh, I got to think about that because I don't run into it that often. I think Chris does way more than me, especially driving a Cybertruck around. But I really, like most people who have come up to me have just been genuinely curious about the car and if I like it, and they don't usually say anything negative to me about it. Like I don't think I've really had much of a negative reaction just like out and about.
Okay. Do they ask about FSD at all, or just general car questions about Tesla?
Just general questions usually. Most people I think don't like people that are totally outside of Tesla and they're not really car enthusiasts at all. I don't think they even realize that it exists.
Right. And just for the record, you guys are in Michigan.
Yes.
Right. So, okay. Well, that's good to know. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And how are you liking being on X? I think you're more active. When did you become active on X?
That was when we got home from the Cybertruck delivery event in Austin. Because then I had met so many cool people like you, and I was like, oh, now I like see who these people are that you're talking about on X all the time. And I was like, I want to follow them and like see, like know all the same things. And so that's kind of where it started.
Okay, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for answering my questions.
You're welcome.
Is Chris still there, or would you like to continue this interview? Just you.
You'd probably get a lot more out of him, but I'll go grab him. Thank you.
All right, sounds good.
Okay.
Hey, man. Welcome back.
Hello. Yep. Glad she could answer for you.
That was really helpful. Do you think 12.5 no steering wheel is the catalyst that's going to lead to higher FSD take rates? You have a really good sense with the public, I think, Chris. You're a very genuine person, and I think you understand people very, very well. I was reviewing our couple of coffee bets from the last 2 years, and you were you were spot on. I was way off. And so I'm kind of trying to understand how you think about these things.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. I think that I don't know if it will get more people kind of like signing up or in the door or whatever, but I think definitely if people try it, I think it could be a big boost to like retention maybe. If nothing else, it's definitely going to give like that magic feeling to them. And it's going to be something that they kind of remember and is more special versus, what we had before. Because you would get, and to, you and I, it's really silly because you get people like, oh, well, I still have to keep a hand on the wheel. What's the point? And it's like, well, yeah, but it's still doing everything. You're just kind of, checking in. And now that whole thing is gone. It's not even a thought. So yeah, I do think it could really help with retention and like impressing people.
Yeah. Okay. So, wow, I wasn't expecting that actually. So, where do you
It's a
think
big
FSD
deal.
take rate? Yeah, okay, it's a big deal. I mean, that's what Omar says as well in the
Yeah.
spaces every single day.
Yep.
And how are the nags? Like when you take your eyes off the road, is the nag does it come right away? Is it very sensitive?
Yeah, it's pretty quick. It's like, the car's learning to drive. You're also kind of learning how to deal with the car. So when I first got the no hands, which Tesla doesn't officially say no hands, but that's what it is. I was getting a lot of nags because it's just, when you're driving, you don't just kind of sit there and stare straight ahead. You look around, you check your surroundings, you check your speed on the screen. You maybe, if you're checking on FSD, you look at the screen to see what it's thinking or doing or whatever. And the new monitoring is not very forgiving with that. So I would say you have, like maybe 2 seconds where you can look away before the message comes up. I mean, like a strict
Hmm.
2 seconds. And you don't get yelled at. It doesn't make a noise or anything, but the little message will say, please pay attention to the road. And if you don't
Hmm.
look, you get another couple of seconds before it starts flashing blue and beeping at you and all of these things. So at first it can be a little kind of like, whoa, what the heck? But once the human kind of gets trained, it's good. I mean, you just kind of relax and look ahead, and almost like when you're the passenger in a vehicle, usually passengers are on their phone or something, but if you're not doing that, if you're just kind of sitting in the passenger seat, kind of just looking around on the road, it's very much that kind of feeling.
Okay, great. Um, After using 12.5 and 12.5.1, are you 100% convinced that Tesla will get to FSD unsupervised at some point in the future with vision only?
That depends on your definition of FSD unsupervised.
Let's see. Let's say driverless. Like you don't need anybody in the driver's seat.
Okay, yeah, that defines that. No, I can't say I'm 100% convinced that like the point we're at now proves that we'll get there. No, I don't think so.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, great. Um, so I asked Stephanie if she sees people in her personal life that are skeptical of Tesla, FSD, um, and she said that you probably see more people. Um, when you see skeptical people, or when you see a Dan O'Dowd tweet, what goes through your mind, and what do you tell those people?
Man, that's a big question.
Take your time.
Yeah. So I got a few. Of course, I see a lot of it online, which is kind of, I don't take too seriously because, who knows if they've seen 10 hours of FSD footage or they clicked the video
Right.
just to comment and leave. I do have a coworker that I am now using. So Stephanie used to be my kind of litmus test of all this stuff, but now she uses it. She enjoys it. So it's not,
Hmm.
I don't have her anymore. So I have a coworker who bought a Model 3 in around Thanksgiving. So of last year. So what is that? Like maybe 8 or 9 months now he's had his Model 3.
Hmm.
And he got the 6 months of FSD or 3 months of FSD for free. And
Hmm.
he's also had the free trial when we got, I think, to version 12, whatever the update was. And he doesn't really like it. He doesn't really use it. And we've talked a lot about it. And I stay quiet because I don't want to like inundate him with this stuff. I want to use him as like a normal person and see if he ends up liking it. But what he's told me is there's a few things. So number one is kind of the cost. He doesn't want to pay either $199 a month like it used to be or $99 a month for something he can just do himself anyway. He kind of thinks like, well, I can just drive myself as I always have and save $99 a month, or I guess not spend it. And also, he's like, since I'm still responsible and I have to pay attention the whole time, it's like another reason for him not to pay. Um, in terms of like being, he's impressed by it. He thinks it's, cool and neat, but he doesn't think it's something that like really helps him or affects his
Now,
driving style.
just for the record, he's not using 12.4 or 12.5, right? He's
He
on
no he
12.3.6.
Right, he hasn't tried those yet. So his Model 3 is a hardware 3.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have FSD, so he doesn't. Yeah, the latest version he's tried is probably 12.3.6. I don't know. He
Okay.
hasn't used 12.4 or 12.5, that's for sure.
Now, do you think his perception of FSD is going to change when he uses 12.5?
I don't know. I can't wait to find out. I mean, I want them to do another free trial, or he may sign up. So he did when his dad was in town a month ago or something. He did sign up for a month. He did pay the 99 just because he wanted to show his dad. Like I said, he does
Yeah.
think it's interesting and he likes it, and
Yeah.
they enjoyed it. But he also talks about the mistakes it had made and how, again, it's a lot of personal preference. Which there's nothing wrong with that. It's his money and his car. But he talked about how it's too slow stopping, and it doesn't accelerate fast enough, and it always is going below the speed limit and getting in people's way. And he's like, again, why am I going to pay 99 a month when I can just drive the way I like and not think about it? So
Right.
anyway, your question, to answer your question, I think he will be very impressed by it, but I'm not convinced he'll change his kind of overall sentiment. But I can't wait to find out, honestly.
Yeah. Are you going to have him on your channel?
No. I want him to stay a normal person who doesn't get all nerdy about it. He's like the only guy I got right now. So I have posted his thoughts before on X. So when he first got the car and had FSD, I had him drive us downtown. And I just I was going to say secretly, but he knows I took some videos and I just sat back there and just listened and let him do it. And I didn't say anything or tell him what to do. And, there was one point where FSD tried to drive toward another car and one huge phantom brake, which I thought was crazy because at that point we hadn't had phantom braking in a long time. But I was sitting in the backseat, it happened. And he's like, see, this is why. He's like, I'm not going to pay for it because look at these things it does. And I just thought, But, I took a couple videos. I took some notes on his thoughts and what he said. And I shared those. But no, he will not be in a video.
Yeah, I actually have a friend like that too. And he has a Tesla Model Y Performance. He has FSD as well. He purchased it when he got the Model Y.
Interesting.
And very similar commentary, exactly what you discussed. And just last weekend, I finally convinced him to give it another shot. Yeah. And there was a phantom brake, but he is on 12.3.6. So we discussed this event on TSLA Live, my daily spaces.
Yep.
And Omar was very adamant about 12.4, 12.5 are different software stacks.
I agree.
He's testing the older version, so don't take that at face value. That's going to change, hopefully, when they try the newer version. So
I totally agree with Omar in that. I mean, again, it's hard from their perspective because they're like, this thing keeps breaking and doing dumb stuff. But I would say, 12.5 is a totally different animal. I mean, it is, even 12.4 I didn't find was that significantly different in terms of interventions and disengagements, but I did find the magic in the no hands. And then 12.5 came along and I was like, whoa, this is something's way different. It's very good.
Okay, we're going to take some questions from the audience.
Cool.
So let's see if I can do this and then move us to the side.
Oh,
Perfect.
Nice.
So Neural Net Neil asks, what objective metrics do you use to measure improvement, regression? Have you tracked those metrics over time and versions? If you aren't using metrics, what is the method you use to show progress or regression accurately?
Yes. So I do. I don't know if you've seen it, but I do track interventions and disengagements. Now, of course, this is with the biggest grain of salt. And I can send you this data too if you want to include it here somehow. Take this all with the biggest grain of salt because it's one person tracking their own metrics. So you don't have nearly enough of a sample size. And also it's all going to be objective, or I should say subjective. There's going to be times where maybe I hit the accelerator and count that as an intervention where someone else may not have. And vice versa. There may be times where I didn't interact with the car where someone else says, well, you shouldn't have let it do that, right? So I have been tracking this for literally for years. I'm bringing it up so I can kind of tell you some of the numbers. Interventions and disengagements. So an intervention means I interact with the car in some way, any way at all, whether that's pressing the accelerator or touching the turn signal. But the car continues driving. It keeps control of the situation. And then a disengagement means I actually turn the full self-driving system off. And so I've been tracking those. So if I look at my chart now, I have version 8 is the beginning of my chart. Version 8 through version 8 and 9 are pretty low, meaning my metric is miles per interaction. So more miles is better. And that's how Waymo has kind of talked about it before, and Cruise. I don't know if they talk about it that much, but they'll say, oh, we go 10,000 miles without an intervention or whatever they say. So I have the chart set up the same way. Version 8 and version 9, it's real low. It's like 2 or 3 miles per interaction. And then you get to version 10 and 11, and it's about double. I'm getting between 5 and 10 miles per interaction. And then you get to version 12, and it's literally, I can change my chart, but it's literally off of my chart. And you're getting much better performance in version 12 overall. Now, I don't have quite enough miles yet on version 12.5 .x to say that it's even better than 12.4 was or not. It's trending that way. But what I have here so far is that 12.3 was the best of the 12s. But I didn't have a ton of miles on it. I didn't have, much driving time. So those are the metrics I use. And the reason is I started tracking them a while ago, and then I kind of stopped because it didn't seem that people cared that much, to be honest. Like, I wasn't going to track all this stuff if no one cared. But then on an earnings call a couple of years ago, Elon said, he was like, just track the miles and the disengagements and interventions. You'll see it's getting better. And I was like, well, I'm not going to stop anymore. And I didn't see it getting better for a long time after he said that. It stayed mostly the same, but now
I remember those videos. I remember when you were testing them.
Yes.
And I remember kind of looking at your graphs and everything. They were kind of up and down, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But that seems to have changed with V12. Yes, V12 definitely has a step up in miles per intervention.
On my chart, that is what I'm seeing. So I'll tell you one of the examples. Version 11 total, which is I have 372 miles of version 11. That's all the versions combined. I was getting about 8.5 miles per intervention and 8.5 miles per disengagement. Those were about the same. Okay. Then you go to version 12.3. Now I only had 65 miles on it, but I didn't have a single intervention the whole time. So I have greater than 65 miles per intervention compared to the 8 I had on version 11. And then disengagements, I was having 13 miles per disengagement. So about double the distance version 11 was going. And then version 12.4, was better than that and everything. So.
Okay. Hold on to that spreadsheet because we're going to talk about forecasts later on. And that is one of the metrics that we're going to forecast. So let's go to the next question real quick. So this is coming from Grant. Grant Lanning asks, are these incremental updates really game changers, deserving of the hype, or just another update to slowly continue the work toward FSD?
Yeah, every update is different. So, sometimes we'll get an update and, I won't notice much of a difference. I'll go out and even if you say, 12.3 to 12.4, I'll go drive it. And again, I'm only one person. So this is where the community comes in and it's really helpful because people can pick stuff out when you have, 1,000 miles of examples versus my, let's say 100. So sometimes a 12.3 to a 12.4 won't be that different. Other times you'll go 12.4 to 12.5. And like what I've experienced this time, it's a huge difference. On top of that, you can go like 12.5.1 to 12.5.2. And you can see a huge difference sometimes. Other times you don't. In all the version 12 so far, Tesla isn't giving us release notes anymore. Hopefully they'll get back to that. It's probably related to their whole neural net thing. I'm not sure exactly what they could tell us besides like we trained it some more. Like I don't know. But we don't have anything like specific to look for. But at the same time, it's a toss up. Sometimes you go drive it and you're like, wow, this is exactly the same. And sometimes, you can tell the difference.
Okay. And final audience question is coming from Miss Libby Palmer. How did you become an FSD tester? How can I become one? do you think the majority of the human race will ever trust FSD and believe that it's reliable and safe? Is FSD going to take the fun out of driving? So those are three questions.
Sure.
And I also have a related question for you, Chris. Is it true? So there's a rumor out there. Is it true that when people DM you, they immediately get the latest version?
Oh yeah, 100%. No,
Yeah.
definitely,
So
definitely
there you
not.
go, people. DM Dirty Tesla at Dirty Tesla on X.
You would not believe the amount
Elaborate.
of
How many did you
DMs.
get?
Oh
How
my God,
many?
it's got to be hundreds at this point.
Hundreds?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's funny.
Okay, so to
What
answer
do you
these
say to them?
questions,
What do you reply to them? What do you say to them?
I try to. Yeah, if there's too many, I literally can't. But yes, I will try to reply, and I'll say, "Oh, they're just memeing on you. They're just joking. I wish I could
Yeah,
help. I would send it if I could. I mean, I legit would. What do I care? I'm not special.
yeah.
I would definitely push that
Uh,
out to them if I could. But all right, so
uh,
these three questions, I did copy them down. If I don't know if you care to close that or not, it's
sure.
up to you.
Yeah.
So how did I become an FSD tester? Now it's kind of luck. So Tesla used to have what's called an early access program where they had these secret public testers. So they'd be just random individuals and employees too, of course, but that were in early access. And Tesla would send them up software updates before anyone else and to get feedback and bugs and stuff. But this was totally secret. You weren't allowed to post about it on social media. You weren't supposed to show it to anybody. It was just between you and Tesla. If you try it out, if there's a huge bug, you tell Tesla, whatever. Well, Tesla transformed that program into what we have now, which is the FSD beta testers, like the original ones, like myself and others. And they changed everything and said, "Hey, yeah, go ahead and share." So I don't think you can really become a part of that group anymore. How I became a part of it, I believe, is that I was doing FSD and autopilot videos for over 2 years before FSD beta existed, right? And I was just doing these on the public software. So I didn't have any special software. I just thought that technology was interesting. I knew Tesla eventually, right, wanted to get to this FSD stuff that we have today. And so I was kind of tracking the progress and saying like, hey, look at this. I can go on the highway on the way to work and do pretty much nothing. You know what I mean? That was back in 2019. And so I believe because I was posting those videos for a long time consistently, Tesla knew about my channel and, we know this guy tests safely. Let's throw him on there. And then how do you become one? Well, now you can get FSD just by buying a Tesla and paying for FSD. So you may not
Yeah.
be in the early access group, but you can just buy it basically.
Yeah.
Do you think the majority of the human race will ever trust FSD and believe it's reliable and safe? Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. It might take a while and it might be one of those things where like, you just got to kind of wait for the old people to disappear, to put it nicely. But it'll,
Okay.
well, that's okay. You get what I mean.
What happened to your niceness? You used to be a nice guy.
That is I can expand. That is not a mean thing. That is
No, just
so
kidding.
when you're older, I mean, just the fact is, in general, of course, not everybody's the same. You don't have the same plasticity as you did when you were younger. So things that are new, you're like, I don't want this new stupid thing. I already know how to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, over the last couple of years, what I found out is most people are very unlikely to change their minds. Very, very difficult to change their minds. So I totally understand what you're saying.
Yes. And it gets harder as you get older to change your mind, whether you realize it or not. I mean, I don't want to go too into the weeds if you're trying to save time here, but you can take music as example, take cultural things because they're not the most important, right? So you don't need to change your mind about something like that. When you were a kid, you loved the music and your parents hated it. And you're like, this is the best ever. Well, now you still love the exact same music and the kids like something else and you hate it. So that's a very simple example of what I'm talking about. So the fact is, eventually, yes, FSD will just be a normal thing that all cars on Earth have, and no one will think twice. They'll hop in, and it'll take them somewhere, and they'll be like, "People watched videos of this? That's weird." So yeah, eventually.
Yeah, the last question, I've heard a bunch of different versions of it. So she asks, is FSD going to take the fun out of driving? And a lot of times what I hear from FSD skeptics is that I enjoy driving. I don't want the car to drive me. I want to drive. What do you say to those people?
Yeah, I'm guessing that the driving that you like to do for the most part is not your commute into the office. That's just, a little guess on my part. And so, it's going to take the monotony out. If you want to have a fun day of driving, there will be racetracks, just like there's horse racing tracks and there's go-kart tracks and stuff. And you can go have fun and drive and rev around. You're not supposed to be having fun on public roads. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now you can enjoy going out for a leisurely drive and just kind of clearing your head, but I feel like you could do that in a self-driving car too. So there will be options if you like driving to drive around, just not dangerously, hurting, putting other people in danger as we do today.
Yeah, and I think a good analog is that there are still people who enjoy riding horses, but they are few
Right.
and far in between. It's more of a hobby rather than a mode of transportation today. And it's probably going to be the same. Like you said, it's probably going to take some time, but I want to bring a page from the past. I created this from about 2 years ago. So if you look at the screen,
Mm-hmm.
you remember this one?
I remember. I mean, I don't know if I remember this exact page, but I remember seeing your notebook.
Yeah, this is from November 7, 2022.
Wow, cool.
What do people need to see to believe? And I have a list of things, basically, to get to full functionality. What are the things that need to happen? So if you see at the top U-turns, it does it well today, right?
Right.
2 years ago, it didn't do anything.
Right.
A year ago, even, it couldn't do U-turns. It does reliable. It's part of path planning. It still doesn't reverse or doesn't do 3-point turns, right? How is it doing in school zones?
It does not react to them.
It doesn't handle it. Okay. How is it doing with speed adjustments, automatic speed adjustments?
You mean like when the speed limit changes and stuff?
Yeah.
It's better.
5.1 better?
Well, it's better than it was in the past, like a long time ago, because it used to, like, I don't know if you remember, but like you'd go from a 45 to a 35 and it would just stay at, it would show the 35, but it would just stay at 45, like for miles, which is definitely like you're getting nailed with a ticket. We have a different problem today in that it definitely is much better at responding to the speed signs, but because it has a mind of its own, it often decides to go slower than the speed limit. And this is where we get into the like preferences and stuff. It's not objectively wrong to go 33 and a 35, but it's super annoying and everyone around you is going to hate you. So, before version 12, the car wasn't quote unquote smart enough to pick its own speed. So if the speed was set to 35, it went 35. Unless it went around a curve or something like that, then it would slow down a bit and then speed back up. Now it can kind of decide, I'm going to go a little slower. And yeah, it's mostly it's annoying. It's not, I wouldn't say that's a problem exactly.
Is it reading electronic speed limits?
Sometimes, yeah. It's not super consistent, but yes, it definitely can.
Okay. And it does handle right on red sign, no turn on red signs, right?
In my experience, yes. Yes.
Okay. Identifying emergency vehicles.
No.
But it doesn't do that. But
No.
you do see it does say on the screen that it identifies it. It just doesn't.
There is a legacy feature where that's not part of like the smart quote unquote FSD stack that can detect those lights and it will slow you down. But that's kind of equivalent to like base autopilot. It's not part of FSD.
Okay. Do you think FSD will at some point have to honk at other drivers?
I mean,
or
I guess
pedestrians?
I guess you could throw it in there, but I don't think it's that important. But I mean, if someone's like reversing into you, yeah, you definitely want it to be able to honk at them. But it's such a rare, and you know what? This is something that is very regional. In Michigan, nobody like ever honks for anything. In other parts of the country and the world, people honk at like the smallest stuff. So
yeah, so true. Hand signals by other drivers, does it react to that? Policemen, construction workers?
That's a tough one to answer. It doesn't seem like it does. I actually want to do some more testing on this because Stephanie and I did that testing back in, I believe, 12.3, and it did not, 100% did not. And Elon said that it should be better in 12.4 and 12.5 will nail it or something like that. And now we're on 12.5. So I don't know, but in my experience, no, it doesn't.
Okay. Recognizing and avoiding potholes. This is a common question. How's it doing with potholes?
It can do that if it's very obvious, but it rarely does. But I've seen it do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting better on that front, right? It's not perfect yet. It's not there yet, but it's getting better.
Yeah, I wouldn't even say it's 50%. But like if there's a
Okay.
huge monster thing on the road, it's going to avoid it. Yeah.
Okay, good. How's it doing with heavy rain, snow, icy roads?
Rain seems fine. It will
Mhm.
slow itself in super heavy rain. Like if you're on the highway, it will limit its top speed, which is great. Again,
Mhm.
this is one of those things that the people around you might not like it, but I think it's a great idea. Snow and icy roads. I mean, it's July, about to be August, so I can't comment on version 12.
Mhm.
But the latest snowy driving I did was much better. What it's very good at, surprisingly, is knowing where the road is, like where to drive. I
Mhm.
actually was kind of blown away at how good it was at that. What it's not so good at is it doesn't modulate its speed. So you're not going to
Mhm.
accelerate or decelerate as hard as you do in the snow as you would when it's dry, right? I mean, it seems kind of obvious, but the car doesn't think that way. It's just like, now we're stopping. It doesn't stop any slower, right? Like it doesn't give more
Mhm.
room to stop, basically.
I'll have to have you back on the channel to talk about that maybe in a few months.
You know what is crazy? I will 100% be doing snow testing as soon as I can, but I'm not going to lie. The past few years, Michigan has gotten significantly less snow than we used to. So
Really?
I'm not sure how many more years of snow testing I have left. I'd like to be totally honest.
Mm.
It's
Okay.
crazy.
Okay. Um, better decisions at park. I guess we're getting actually smart summon soon. 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, it's literally been 2 weeks for like 2 years. I'm not even kidding, but yeah.
Yeah. I think it's getting close. It's getting close.
Yeah.
Let's see. We talked about road close signs before. Okay. Um, Although brights have improved. Have you tested any multi-level parking garages? Underground
No,
parking?
not
Okay.
anytime recently.
Okay. How is it doing with multi-lane roundabouts for you?
Roundabouts are pretty solid.
Okay.
They're
Toll
very
booths?
they're very solid. We don't have toll booths in Michigan, so I don't know.
Okay. All right. Let's switch to this new spreadsheet.
All right.
All
Wow,
right.
this
You
is a
ready?
lot fancier, but it doesn't have the same charm.
Okay. So what I want to do here is, as you can see, we have some tabs for some of the people I'm going to have in the future, in future episodes. And I
Mhm.
would like each person to at least take a shot at guessing when these milestones are going to happen. I think these milestones are important in Tesla's intrinsic value.
Mhm.
The last group is, for fun a little bit. But Cybertruck, semi-production ramp, miles to disengagement, Robotaxi fleet size, Optimus fleet size, and then we're going to go to market cap. So let's start with this. When do you think Cybertruck will outsell the Ford F-150?
Oh, buddy. I'm gonna give you a really far guess because I don't think it's gonna happen. Well, I,
Really?
I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon, if it ever does. Um, I'm looking at your dates at the top here.
Hmm.
Let's say Q3 of 29.
Wow. You and I had a coffee bet on this.
Yeah. What
Do you
did
remember
I
that?
say then? You can do the same answer. I think I said never, didn't I?
No, you didn't say never. The bet was um, for end of 2017, and you said no, and I
End of
said
27.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 27. That's right.
27.
So
Okay.
now you're,
Yeah.
you're saying Q3
Well,
2029.
I mean, you're
Okay.
asking me when it will outsell, and like,
Right.
I
Right.
think it has to be far away enough that things can change significantly. But I'm not taking into account Ford selling significantly less F-150s. That's not all I'm thinking about is Cybertruck ramp. I'm not thinking about
Mm-hmm.
F-150 sales declining. So that may be why
Mm-hmm.
I'm so far out. But yeah, I'll stick with that. That's fine.
Okay. And let's see, semi production ramp. I think they're starting to build the facility in Nevada to
Right.
build semis in volume. When do you think they're going to get to 1,000 semis on the road?
Let's say we're in, man, let's say quarter two of 26.
Okay.
And then you can
10,000.
add a year to that, and then another
Okay.
year to the next one. I think is a pretty safe bet.
Okay. And then another year after that. So
Yeah.
Q3 2028.
Yeah, there's your little S curve, right? Almost looks like a little start of an S there.
Sure. All right. This is right up your alley. Miles to disengagement.
Yeah, I think you're a little low on these numbers. Like you're ending at 1,000 or 1,000,000. Don't you think you should go higher?
Well, these are, what do you mean? 1,000,000 miles to disengagement? I mean, I think at this point we're probably going to have robotaxis, right?
I don't know. So
1,000,000 should be fine.
can I expand, or you want me to just answer the questions?
Yeah, you can
You're like,
expand.
you're like, shut up.
No,
just
no,
answer
you
the
can expand.
question.
No, take it.
So-
This is supposed to be more of a guideline to the discussion.
Okay. The only reason I say that is because here's how I think about it. Humans are currently an accident, not a fatality, but an accident every 500,000 miles. So if you're saying every 1,000,000 miles, that makes FSD twice as good as a human, which is great. And overall reduces your accidents and even the severity of accidents. Because you got to imagine any accidents that a robotaxi gets in is going to be much less impactful than a human accident, because it'll already be braking sooner. It'll be going slower anyway, all that stuff. But if you are having an accident every 1,000,000 miles, because, okay, so when you say disengagement, I mean, that means accident, right? Or no?
Right.
Okay. Because it's a robotaxi.
Like if you didn't take over, it would get into an accident.
Right. Either with a pole or another car or something. So,
Right.
yeah. So if you're saying every 1,000,000 miles you're having an accident, I mean, that's how many Tesla accidents per day? What, like 5, 5 or 10 or something, depending on how many robotaxis there are and how many cars are driving daily and how far they're going. That's, in my opinion, too many to all trace back to one source. Now,
Yeah.
the thing is, overall, you have less accidents than you would have had, but all of these accidents go back to one source. Okay, that's my expansion. So you want me to now answer these your things here?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a great point. And Tesla also, Ashok has a tweet from about a year ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
He said they want to get to no accidents eventually.
Yep. Oh, I remember
He
that.
believes it is exactly. It was a big tweet, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. I understand, but I think once you get to more than 1,000,000 miles per disengagement, it's going to be very difficult for regulators anywhere to not allow Tesla robotaxis. So that's why we have that. Eventually, of course, it's going to get to more. All right, let's get to 1,000 miles.
Yeah, let's start at
right
1,000.
Yeah, so because I think right now we're about a couple hundred miles, right? Is that right?
I mean, my data, again, we're closer to maybe 50-ish miles, which is
Well, I'm
a
kind
lot
of.
better than it used to be. But yeah, go ahead.
Do you look at Tesla FSD tracker?
Sometimes.
Outsourced, right?
Actually, Elon himself said they're at about 1,000 already.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he tweeted that. But he says per intervention, so who knows what that means exactly. But I gotta imagine it's safety critical. So
what do you think?
1,000 miles, I would say, like, what? It's quarter 3 of 24 right now. I would think like quarter 2 of 25, something like that.
Okay. 10,000.
That's pretty bullish. 10,000 is going to be a year after that. Maybe now quarter 1 of 26. Yeah, right there.
Okay. 100,000.
Quarter 2 of 27.
Okay. 1,000,000.
1,000,000, man, that's crazy. Because then you start you just start running into not having enough data to fix whatever problems you have left. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But it's gonna keep getting better, and they're gonna scale GPUs, and man, that's a huge question, man. Let's say just a year after that. No, quarter 3 of 28. Quarter 3 of 28. That's my.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I
My
think man, you are so good with these estimations. I mean, I didn't send you this spreadsheet. Obviously, the other guests
no.
that come on will have seen this episode and they'll get a feel for these questions.
No,
And just,
sure.
with a few seconds of thinking, like these are very reasonable estimates, I think. You
I
know?
think about that a lot. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
cool. Well, I'm glad to hear it's not too crazy.
No, it's great.
The million was really difficult. That one I'm still thinking about, but that's my answer for now.
Okay. Robotaxi fleet, 1,000 Tesla robotaxis on the roads anywhere in the world. It can be US, China, Europe.
Sure.
Unlikely to be Europe, but 1,000 on the roads going around.
I would do like Q4 of 27.
Okay.
I guess they should kind of
And-
align with my miles to disengagement, huh?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, and then the million. I mean that's got to be like Q3 of 29, somewhere around there.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Does that imply that you don't think the existing fleet will be robotaxiable?
Yeah, I guess not, because well, to be honest, just the way that is not your fault, but the way that question was asked, my brain is thinking about the robotaxi that's going to be
Purpose-built.
revealed this
Right.
year. Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, the question has inherently asks, so if you believe the existing fleet can be turned robotaxi or can be added to the robotaxi network, then do you want to revise your answer or do you want to keep it at Q3 2029?
I mean, if I believe, then yeah, it would be a lot sooner than that. But do I believe?
Do you?
Well, even if I do believe, are you going to have that many? How many Teslas are on the road now? Like 3 million or 4 million?
Yeah, in the US it's fewer, but overall in the world it's more than 6 million now.
More than 6 million. So like probably 4 million of those have hardware 3, hardware 4, something like that. I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna keep that answer because I mean, what percentage? Okay, let's say all the Teslas can be. What percentage of people are really going to do that? And then I don't want to be too pedantic with you, but then if a person does one robotaxi ride and then says, I don't want to do that, does that count as a robotaxi on the road? You know what I'm saying? So I'll keep that answer. I think that's pretty fair. I'll leave it there.
Would you add your Tesla to the network?
I believe so. Yeah. The way I would use it is, I mean, I work a full-time job, so my car just sits there all day. So I would go to work and it can robotaxi while I'm at work and then it'll come back to take me home. Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay, Optimus, 1,000 Optimus on the fleet.
Tomorrow, please.
I
want Optimus right now.
What would you have it do?
Oh my gosh, freaking everything. Mow the lawn, clean the gutters, do the dishes, do the laundry.
Yeah.
Dude, that thing, I'm more excited for the overall impact to humanity than my own personal impact. 1,000 of those. Man, once they get that down, dude, they're gonna pump these out. So my answer is gonna be weird, but I'm gonna say like 1,000 Optimus. Let's say like Q4 of 25. I think we'll have 1,000.
Now, let me just qualify. So this is to external customers, not Tesla's own. Yeah.
Oh, well, then I change
Tesla's
it.
own use. Okay.
That must say like Q4 of 26, probably.
Okay. So they can be commercial, industrial customers or households, but external.
Yeah, sure. No, I think Tesla's going to need a lot of those themselves. So it'll take time to work out the kinks and stuff. Okay. And then 1 million is going to be like a year later.
Okay. And 1 billion?
Like another year. I mean, that might be a little bullish.
Do you think there are going to be 1 billion Optimus by the end of 2028? We should go back and just do this episode on Optimus then.
Dude, I'm really...
Forget the FSD.
Well, FSD, here's the thing. FSD I use daily, and I'm a lot more in the weeds with it. Optimus is more like a dream in my head. So I can be a lot more...
So you're sticking with Q4 2028?
Well, hold on. 1 billion is a lot.
I don't want to talk you out of it, but
Oh, yeah. Give me 1 second. I'm
my
just okay.
eyes just popped out of their sockets.
Well, okay. So going from 1,000 to 1,000,000 is not that big of a deal because again, I'm thinking this thing is smaller than a car. It's easier to build than a car. The hard part is getting it ready, actually building it, and then being able to mass produce it. Once you make 1,000, well, I guess you could hand build 1,000 to be fair, or partially.
Yeah,
But
I think
no, here's the thing. Once you have 1,000 Optimus, if they're doing what I think they're doing, they're helping you build other Optimus. So yes, I'm keeping that Q4 of 28. The thing is, this all hinges on my first prediction being correct. Because if they can start scaling Optimus by like the end of 26, the scaling of Optimus is going to be like an exponential thing. It's not going to be like a car S curve. It's going to be like, oh, now we have all these Optimus making, because you said 1,000 Optimus to outside customers. That means Tesla has all the Optimus they need to do everything they want, which includes building other Optimus. So this thing is going to be to the moon fast.
Okay. 1 billion Optimus by the end of 2028.
If Optimus is what we think it is, right? If Optimus is a huge failure, then it doesn't matter. But these numbers I'm giving you are assuming that Optimus is, number one, going to work, and number two, going to be able to do like 99 or 90% of human tasks as we expect. Those are the things that I have in my head, and that's why I think, yeah, doesn't that make sense? If you have 1,000,000 Optimus, you could have 1,000,000 of them building other Optimus. Each Optimus only has to make 100.
Yeah,
that's.
I mean, all of that makes sense, but I think each one of those milestones, 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000, is going to be limited by something else. So going from 1,000 to 1,000,000, I think it's going to be production limited. They need to get the lines up. They need to build them. But to get to billion, I think it's going to have to be very useful. And it's not like you're not going to find 1 billion people to buy it if it just folds clothes, So you're going to have a really, really good brain to sell 1 billion. I think you can sell 1,000,000 to early adopters, no problem. And by then, Tesla's going to have more than 10 million vehicle owners, tens of millions of fans around the world. Right. And they can find 1,000,000 buyers, either households or industrial customers. 1 billion is, just world changing. So that's a bigger milestone.
Yes, I think Optimus is going to change the world. So that's why I have these crazy ideas.
Okay. Q4 2028 it is. Entered in.
If it's useful as we expect, I don't see why not.
Yeah, are you thinking out loud? Are you trying to convince me or trying to convince yourself right now?
Both.
Okay.
Unlimited labor. The world is it just breaks everything we know about everything if these things work as a human.
Okay. Deal. Market cap 1 trillion. When do we get to 1 trillion, Chris?
Bro, that could be like a month. The way this stock moves. 1 trillion and not immediately dropping below it and not hitting it again. Oh my gosh, this is so difficult. 1 trillion is pretty easy. I would say by the end of, it all hinges on Robotaxi. I would say Q3 of 26 probably. This is a safe guess when it's we're 1 trillion and we're never going back below it. That's a little long. Okay. Can I say, let's say Q2 of 26.
Sure, you can change your answer.
Sorry,
no problem.
Thank
you. By the way, these are, so I'm going to have this Google spreadsheet link. I'm going to tweet it out and people can view it.
Cool.
But if you want a spreadsheet and you want to be able to edit it, put in your guess, you have to come on this interview and we're going to do it then live. I mean, recorded, but while we talk it out. 10 trillion.
Let me just look at my Optimus numbers real quick here. Oh man, a 10x. Yeah, it's gonna be oh yeah, this is. I'm fitting these all. It's like a puzzle. All the pieces got to fit together.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think like quarter two of 28. Yeah, right where you are. Yeah, right about there. Because here's
Okay.
yeah, I don't need to expand. I think that's
Okay.
fair.
100 trillion.
That's such a crazy amount of money. I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
Just put it in the quarter 429. I'm not really sure what to do with
No,
that
no.
number.
Did you see these three columns?
Sure. Yeah, do the 2030 plus. That's good.
Okay.
Now when is GME gonna hit 100 trillion? That's like next month. Just kidding.
What if you're comfortable sharing, what percent of your portfolio is in Tesla?
Oh, like 1% or something. I mean, not even, I don't think.
Okay, so is it mostly kind of like S&P 500 type of stuff or other
Mhm.
individual stocks? You don't have to share if you don't want to.
No, I don't mind. I about half of my investments are just like my 401k basically.
Mm-hmm.
So that's and I can't really pick, so it's mostly yeah, like S&P stuff. Like large cap and small cap. I don't really have much besides that. And then the other half is mostly like my IRA stuff, but that I have
Mm-hmm.
freedom and choose whenever I want, so it's all individual stocks. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Is Tesla your biggest individual stock or something else?
No, Tesla's not. No, it's not.
Mm.
I'm just to because people are gonna be like, what the heck? I personally, the money that I like to move around and try to like gain money with, I like small caps and micro caps
Mm-hmm.
because they have a lot more potential to move. They're inherently much more risky.
Mm-hmm.
But is Tesla gonna 10x in a year? No, probably not. I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. I want something that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna 10x in a couple months. So
Okay.
it's
All
just
right.
mhm,
I got you. All
yeah,
right, Mars. So this section is more for fun.
sure.
Do you think Optimus or first? Do you think Optimus will be first to go to Mars or humans?
When's the next time we can go? Is it 2028?
I'm not sure.
Can I look it up really quick?
Sure.
Because it's only every like 2 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It doesn't
2026.
matter.
Okay.
Don't overthink it. Yeah.
No, I want to be right. I can't be wrong about anything ever. Okay, so going to Mars, Optimus. Yeah, who will be first? Well, if Optimus is ready, yeah, no, I think humans are definitely going to be first. I think the first humans will be going in probably 2026.
Okay.
So yeah, just at the end of 2026 is fine.
Okay.
And then Optimus would be like 2 years after that.
Wow. So if you were Elon, you would send humans first before Optimus.
Well, Optimus ain't gonna be ready in time, I don't think, to go to Mars.
Okay. Interesting.
It's just
All
in
right.
terms of capability and stuff.
Yeah. I'll say that sounds like a coffee bet. Maybe we can make that coffee bet at the end of this.
Like, yeah, for
I
sure.
think yeah, I think Optimus will be first to go before humans.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely makes sense if Optimus has the capabilities that I assume it will have. I mean, eventually, but I think
Mm-hmm.
that if Starship's ready, Elon is not going to wait on that, and there's going to be more than enough people that are capable and willing to go, even though they know they won't
Mm-hmm.
be coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, no, I get the Optimus angle for sure. And then the millionth human is going to be. I mean, that's going to be a long time. That's going to be like probably 2040 plus. Is my guess on that.
Okay. Well, we have your first prediction puzzle.
Oh, this is great. Great
Yeah.
job.
And when I have you back on, we can revisit and adjust any of these and go through, have this spreadsheet guide us.
Sweet. I love it.
Well, I think this is probably a good place to stop. Thank you very much,
You're welcome.
Chris, for being the first person on my one-on-one interviews, and hope to have you on every now and then. And would you like to share your Twitter handle and your YouTube channel or anything else you want to?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. This was great. I really appreciate being on. I look forward to doing this again sometime in the future. You can find me on X or YouTube. Just type Dirty Tesla. That's me.
All right. Thank you very much, Chris. Take care.
All right, thanks.